So, bit late with this one. Sorry, I had plans yesterday. But, you know, a late review by the Illuminati is better than no review at all. So, without further ado, let's get into this bastard.
And that's it. It's a 23rd Brennus, a record-extending quantity for Stade Toulousain in a dominant performance that even they can't believe they've done.
So, Toulouse versus Bordeaux. Ended up in a complete bloodbath. Why bother doing a review? There's some key things that we can learn from this game. One, this is probably the beginning of reign of a Toulouse side that could have the domination that Leinster wanted to have in Europe for the last 3 or 4 years. This team is unbelievable. From top to bottom, the chemistry playing in between each of the positions is insane. I mean, there were multiple occasions where mistakes were made like within a maul and someone dropped the ball and someone was just there with an arm to pick it up. Dupont makes a break. Someone's there to get the ball out just as quickly as he would to make sure that the space on the outside is utilised. This team is playing unbelievable rugby. Like, rugby that you can only kind of play when you've got a combination of world star talent and unbelievable chemistry together. It's insane. It's incredible. It's the best rugby around right now. Whether you're a Leinster fan or a South African fan or New Zealand fan, I'm sorry. This is the most fun, the best team to watch that encompasses everything that rugby should be. Tight, loose, forward, back, coach, stadium, fans, French, dunno. All of it is just tippity tip top, right? Unbelievable. So they've still got a core of players in there that's really got even more years of prime left. We're not talking about La Rochelle coming to the end with a lot of people that are 30. We're not talking about Leinster, who, you know, signed Geordie Barrett thinking it was Bowden Barrett because they need a fly half. We're not talking about any of these clubs that are looking to just have that one little element to just put their side over onto the next level. This is it for Toulouse, and they're here to stay for the next 3 or 4 years, barring injuries or fallouts or someone gets an ego and has to go somewhere else. I mean, I've run out of superlatives for this team. Rather than just blowing hot air up Toulouse for this performance in this game, let's take a bit of a deeper dive into what happened, into the trenches of it. So, Bordeaux, bless them, bless their cotton socks, they were not the team to play Toulouse. It was my criticism of them when they played Quins, and it's my criticism in general as a team. They kicked too much. They looked to play the ball out of their foot way too much. For teams like Toulouse, you want to limit their possession. You want to control possession. You don't want to be playing necessarily territorially just to be playing in the right areas of the pitch. I mean, hell, they didn't even do that. I mean, Jalabert was like trying to kick for the corner on a 50-22 when they were within, you know, striking distance of some sort of attack. It just was not well thought out in any way, shape or form. As I said, they had the same issue with Quins. And the problem is that against teams with lesser opposition, where you're just pinning it into territory, you can play the percentages because you know you'll win. And that's how you... I haven't watched enough of the top 14 to make this judgment. But I'm going to make it anyway. I'm guessing this is true. Bordeaux have probably gotten through the competition to this point because they've beaten up on teams that are worse than them through playing the percentages of playing kicks, playing chip and chase, and playing for territory. And when you do that against a side like Toulouse, they'll be like, hell man, I'll run for my own 22-yard line. I don't give a f***. It screamed to me that the game plan was not thought out well. Their attack was also kind of boring. You know, it was scrum half to forward, crash inside, scrum half to fly half to 8 that's on the inside channel and then goes over and gets tackled, and no inventiveness, no creativity, not even quick enough in my regard. And they deserve to get punished for that. I mean, in the first half, you could maybe like put it down to, well, they got a yellow card. which was legit, by the way. I mean, we're talking like this close away from the head. I mean, if you hit him in the chest, you know, it's not a card, it's not a penalty, and then we hit him like here, and it's a penalty and a yellow. And if for me, I'll try and see if I can get the highlight up for me, but don't know, dude. I don't know if that's a yellow even. But regardless of that, you know, you could start to say like, well, you know, you got a yellow card. Momentum was with Toulouse. You know, Toulouse, they're just doing their thing where they just got momentum and they're just going to keep going, and then we have our chance to like strike back. But it just didn't, like, they went into half. Toulouse almost scored a try. It got called held up. And then you're thinking, well, it's 22-3, right? Bordeaux have a chance here still. It's a final. Crazy things can happen. If Toulouse go off the gas, they've got to take the opportunities while they're there. And I think there was only two ways that you're going to be able to do this if you were Bordeaux, right? You need to keep possession, which was difficult because Toulouse were playing a blitz defence. I mean, we even saw Romain Ntamack. He came in flying out of the line, making a tackle behind the line, which caused a penalty turnover at one point, which was marvellous to watch. But the blitz defence was there, and it was rushing on the inside, which meant that any kind of possession that you were holding on to was just like you were just getting smashed by bigger dudes. But the way to get around that, if I was in the Bordeaux changing room at half-time, there's two ways. Either we start doing grubbers through to kind of keep the defence honest. Not sure I would have advised that, considering what I've said earlier about all the possession being kicked away constantly. There's another way, which is if you've got a blitz defence, you need to get the ball out like lightning quick. And you need to try and get a little bit of width on it with support runners. And the reason that works is because the blitz defence, every time it rushes up, you know, if you get them having to then like run back and run back and run back, you're going to knacker them out. You basically had to out-fitness Toulouse. And to be honest with you, at halftime, Bordeaux looked like the more tired team. So I don't know if that was particularly an option for them. They needed to look for inventive ways to break that defensive line and keep Toulouse honest. And they never did that. They just came out in the second half and they did exactly the same shit. So, you know, they've never been in the final before. Pressure of that, I don't know. At the same time, you got to go back to what I said originally at the beginning of the video. I mean, this is the best team in rugby, barring international sides. I'd say domestically, this is the best team in the world. I don't think it's even difficult to call. They beat Leinster in the final, which is probably their only competition. Auckland Blues, think they'd smash them. I just think, let's have a look at some of the South African sides. Would they beat the Bulls in Pretoria? I mean, they look so fit. Pause. I don't know. Could they beat the Bulls in South Africa? Could they beat a South African team at altitude? I think they probably could, you know. Could they beat Glasgow? I think so. English Premiership, I mean, the English is probably the worst teams. Could they beat the Saints? Absolutely. So, I mean, it's a tour de force. And as I said, the scary part is that all these players are still young enough to have a good 3 or 4 years together. Personally, I want to see Toulouse win back-to-back top 14s and back-to-back Champions Cups. I mean, this is you know, people talk about dynasties. You know, they talk about teams that leave a legacy. And this team is set up perfectly. And who better to kind of lead them on the way for Dupont, who is undoubtedly the best player in the world. And, I mean, I haven't even mentioned him. I mean, do we even have to? I mean, unsurprising in how good he was. He's just so good. And the difference between him and other scrum halves is, one, he could basically play any position on the pitch. His tackling, his jackling is better than any other scrum halves. It's better than some flankers in the world at the moment. But the thing that's different in terms of his distribution is, one, decisive decision making. Two, he's just at the ball at the bottom of a ruck or a maul, somehow half a second or a second quicker than any other scrum half. There's something about that he has this innate ability to just, by the time the guys hit the floor for a ruck or a maul, he's already there with his hands in the ball, and the defensive line's not set. The defenders, you can see it in the play. The defenders are even still running back to Kinghorn's side by the time Dupont has the ball and he's coming out. It's sensational. And, you know, thank God we've got many years of this guy to play. Hopefully. Injuries not including. I mean, dude. And I'll leave you here with a video of the Toulouse guys at the press conference afterwards.
Dupont, ton retour au vélodrome.
Ah, ils arrivent, continue, ils arrivent tous. Oh ouais. C'est pas moi qui ouais, non, on s'est mis dans les meilleurs.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Hope you enjoyed the game, and looking forward to the internationals starting next weekend.